Have you ever had someone who was so influential in your life you can't imagine what life would have been like if you never met them? I've had a person like that. I'm pretty sure everyone has a person who is that influential. But the person I chose to talk about in the speech was the first person I thought of when I was asked this question, and it was my middle school choir director. His name was Alan Remley. Mr. Remley was such an influential person in my life because he basically forced me to stay in music. He taught me to step out of my comfort zone, and he did all these things even as his health was starting to fail. Mr. Remley basically forced me into the arts. Remley was the only thing that really kept me in the fine arts in the middle school. I really hated band and choir when I was in middle school. I hated it with a passion. I hated it so much I would rather have been physically ill each day than show up to these classes. I did, however, have an immense respect for Mr. Remley and how he acted and how he carried himself, and I really liked him as a person. I just really did not like his class for some reason. But one day he basically pulled me out of his class and sat me down. He's like, "Hey, Jacob, do you have a problem with this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I really not liking music that much." And he basically told me that music is a form of expression, and you can make it really fun if you want, or you can make it suck. And that completely just changed my outlook on music, and it made me continue music into high school. And now I can't even imagine what I would be doing with my life if I didn't have music in it, and if I didn't have all of my band friends and people like that. Remley really changed my life by keeping me in an activity that I didn't particularly like, but Remley also taught me to be more outgoing. Mr. Remley taught me to step out of my comfort zone. When I entered middle school, I was super shy, almost to the point where I would avoid people because I would rather sit in silence and not talk to anyone. Remley taught me to step out of my comfort zone by calling me out on my shyness, basically. He would talk about me and the things I did and said in front of my entire choir class. This caused a lot of people to come up and ask me about what he said, or if I actually did what he said, or just even inquire about me as a person. This basically forced me to stop being shy, because I'm either going to stop being shy or I'm going to suffer from all this newfound attention, and it just really broke me of not talking to people. He also broke me of my shyness by making me join show choir. By being on stage in front of hundreds of people, you learn that sometimes you just need to take a risk and go for it. Remley taught me that stepping out of my comfort zone will lead to many new and exciting things. Remley also taught me so much while battling a debilitating disease. Mr. Remley had multiple sclerosis. It's a sad thing to see such an amazing person have such an awful disease. It really makes me sad to think how Remley had to quit teaching recently because his illness got so bad. The fact that Remley could change my life so dramatically and teach me so much while he had such a negative thing affecting him speaks volumes about his character. He didn't want his illness to define him. He continued to pursue his love of teaching until his body no longer allowed him to. Mr. Remley didn't allow his disease to define him as a person. Mr. Remley was one of the most influential people in my life. He taught me so many things about living. He taught me to stay in music because you'll make so many great friends and you'll have such a fun time in it. He taught me to step out of my comfort zone because that's the only place where anything interesting happens. And the biggest thing is he taught me all these things while he was suffering from such a horrible disease. Overall, Remley was one of the most influential people in my life, and I just don't know where I would be if I never had met him.